Hello again, everyone. It's Julian the drummer from Bristol here with another video on records, and this is to show you some of my first finds of 2026, and these are from the first Bristol Record Fair of the year. Got some really good bargains there as well, and some good quality stuff which I'm going to show you. 6 albums. Let's get straight into it. First up is an artist who I've been a fan of for years. He was around, first of all, in the 60s when he had a small run of hits. And he's been making records on and off since then. Gets a great feel in his songs. Very much a soul singer, and his career has been pretty much guided from start to finish by the great producer Alan Toussaint. So we are talking about Lee Dorsey, and this was a 1978 album called Night People, and this is an American issue. I'm not sure if it came out in the UK, but it was on ABC, and there's the very colourful ABC label at the time, and the record is pretty spotless. The sleeve is kind of passable. It's got it's got a bit of ring wear, as you can see, and it's also got that little clip in it, which I think American record shops used to distinguish records that hadn't sold full price. So they put them in a sort of bargain bucket at a reduced price. But there was no reason why this shouldn't have sold more, because it's a great album, as all Lee Dorsey's albums are. Great lineup on here. Alan Toussaint himself on piano, James Booker on organ, another great New Orleans musician, David Barrett on bass, Kim Joseph, Kenneth Williams on congas, Fender 88, Marcel Richardson, trumpet Joe Fox-Smith, tenor Amadi Castanel, drums, 2 drummers on here, Herman V. Ernest III, who played on a lot of stuff by Dr. John, and Dwight Richards. Guitars, Daryl Johnson, Steve Hughes and Eugene Senegal. And of course produced, as I say, by Alan Toussaint. Tracks on here: Side 1, Say It Again, God Must Have Blessed America, Soul Mine, Keep On Doing It To Me, Thank You, and Side 2, the title track Night People, Can I Be the One, Babe, and Draining. All really good tracks, great sound, and great singing, of course, by Lee Dorsey. So I can really recommend this one for people who like New Orleans music, funk and soul from that neck of the woods. If you haven't come across this one, it's well worth trying to find it. So that's Lee Dorsey, Night People, 1978. Next is an album which I should have bought years ago. Kept meaning to do it. Lots of them around. It's not especially rare. And I just never got around to buying it. And so this time I saw it really reasonably priced, and I thought, right, this time I'm gonna get this. It's from the man that some people call the father of British blues. In this case, it's John Mayall, and this is his, I suppose, first solo album, in that it's without the Blues Breakers, and it's called The Blues Alone, and it was issued in 1967. This would have been just after the album, the Blues Breakers album, A Hard Road, when Peter Green was in the Blues Breakers, and before Crusade, which is the first one with Mick Taylor in the lineup. But this, as the title suggests, is just John Mayall on his own, playing all the instruments, namely assorted guitars, pianos, organ, and bass. The only other person helping him out on here is Keith Hartley on drums on some tracks. He was the then current Blues Breakers drummer. Now this album was issued, of course John Mayall was with Decca at the time, but they decided to issue this one on the Ace of Clubs subsidiary. I think the reason they did that was because they weren't full price. They were a sort of a mid-price label. Decca had Ace of Clubs, Ace of Hearts, and one or two others like that. I think Ace of Clubs was for British artists, and Ace of Hearts was for American recordings. But as I say, this one, 1967, the record is pretty pristine. Cover barely got a mark on it, and if you like John Mayall, it's pretty essential to have this one. The tracks on here, we have side 1, Brand New Start, Please Don't Tell, Down the Line, Sonny Boy Blow, which is his tribute to Sonny Boy Williamson, who'd passed away a couple of years before, Marsha's Mood, and No More Tears. Side 2, Catch That Train, which is an interesting one. He's John Mayall playing a harmonica in time with the train pulling out, and it gets, as you can imagine, quite fast. Cancelling Out, Harp Man, Brown Sugar, Broken Wings, and Don't Kick Me. Really good album, this. Quite raw, as you would expect, but it's a real, I suppose, a personalised set of songs, and it really does. It's got an unusual sound to it, because he's playing all the instruments himself, and it was all recorded, as things were in those days, in one day. So they must have worked pretty hard to get all that down in one day with all the overdubs and things. Yeah, so a really good John Mayall album to add to your John Mayall collection. That's The Blues Alone, 1967. Next is a bit of prog rock, and this is from a band that I only recently discovered. I've actually would like to get the album that came out before this one. I was surprised they recorded as many as they did, because I think they were more successful abroad than they were over here. British band, but they were sort of around at the turn of the 70s, and kept going for quite a few years. The band is called Beggar's Opera, and this is, I think it's their 4th album, with the fantastic title Get Your Dog Off Me, and a fantastic cover as well. And this is actually a German issue. It's on Vertigo, and it was issued in 1973. And as is the case with there we are. So it's the Spaceship Vertigo label of the time, but slightly different shading because of the German issue. But the record itself, as you can see, is absolutely spotless, and it is a great album. It really does have some good songs on it. I said earlier, the one that I've been after for a while is the one that came out, I think it was before this one, Pathfinder, which was on the Swirl Vertigo label and is quite difficult to get hold of and quite expensive, as you can imagine. This one was much more reasonably priced, so I thought I'd pick it up when I saw it, and like I say, got some great songs on here. Beggars Opera, I think they were actually a Scottish band. The lineups tended to change quite often, but here we have Ricky Gardiner, guitars, vocals, Gordon Seller, bass and vocals, Colin Fairley, drums and vocals, Alan Park on all keyboards, and Linny Patterson, lead vocals. And it was produced by Roger Wake. The tracks on here, we have side 1, Get Your Dog Off Me, Freestyle Ladies, Open Letter, Morning Day, Requiem, and then side 2 opens with a really interesting workout of Mason Williams's hit Classical Gas. It's got some nice keyboard and mellotron touches on that. Sweet Blossom Woman, Turn Your Money Green, La-Di-Da, and Working Man. Like I say, it's fairly prog, but also it's perfectly accessible and melodic, and some really great musicianship on it as well. So I shall also be looking out for some other Beggars Opera ones, in particular Pathfinder, but these are certainly, this one is certainly worth picking up as well if you see it. So that's Beggars Opera and Get Your Dog Off Me. Next we have a bit of sort of prog, jazz, funk, I guess you would call it, by one of the masters of the Hammond organ. Still going, lives in America now. Talking about Brian Auger, and this is his band Oblivion Express. I think this is their 4th album. It's called Closer to It, and it was issued in 1973. This is a US copy. It's a little bit later, I would guess sort of late 70s this one came out, because it's on RCA, but it's the with the dog logo on it, with the Victor bit on the side, so I'm estimating about 1978, 79 thereabouts. Again, spotless record, and as you get with US sleeves, nice thick cardboard. Yeah, I've got other Brian Auger Oblivion Express albums. This one I would say is not quite as good as the one that came after it, which was called Straight Ahead. The best one I think in my opinion was A Better Land. I think that was 1971. But this is a newer lineup of Oblivion Express. Brian Auger, of course, on the organ and piano, Moog, Mellotron, and all the vocals. Still got Barry Dean on bass, and then the newcomers here: Jack Mills guitar, Lennox Langton congas, Godfrey McLean on drums. And the tracks we have here are side A, Whenever You're Ready, Happiness Is Just Around the Bend, Light on the Path, and then side B, Compared to What, Inner City Blues, and Voices of Other Times. This is a good album. Good solid set on here. Great musicianship, as you would expect. And a good one if you're a Brian Auger fan. If you've not got this one, yeah, worth picking up. And this was well priced as well. It wasn't expensive. Right, next is a British band who had a lot of publicity when they first came onto the scene, which was in the late 60s. They were particularly championed by the Beatles because they signed to Apple Publishing for their songs. They did have a couple of minor hit singles, but they just didn't, for whatever reason, seem to make it into the big time. They toured a lot, and such was their kind of prestige, as it were, that for, I think, a lot of their records, that they only did 2 albums, but I think their singles, most of them, were produced by the Byrds producer Terry Melcher. He actually came over to London to produce them. We are talking about a band called Grapefruit, and this is their second album called Deep Water. As you can tell from that up there, Rock Originals, it's a reissue. The album itself came out in 1969. This reissue was from 1979, and it's a Dutch pressing, and it's on RCA International. There you go. That's that turquoise label that they use for those pressings. And there's not much information on the sleeve, really, just track listings, and that's it. I'll just quickly read you what the songs on here. Deep Water, the title track. Can't Find Me, Thunder and Lightning, Lady Godiva, and The Right Direction. And then side 2, LAM Back Again, Come Down to the Station, A Dizzy Day, Blues in Your Head, and Time to Leave. Grapefruit, if you've not heard them, they were sort of, I suppose, a pop psych band. The 2 hit singles they had were, I think, Come On Marianne, which was their version of a Four Seasons song, and Dear Delilah. Both good quality records, but say only got into the 20s and 30s, I think, in 68. And as I say, this was their second album, but it is very good. It's got some really imaginative songs on here, very much of the time, 1969, so tinged with psychedelia, lots of shifting melodies, but great playing all round. The other interesting thing about Grapefruit is there is apart from the Beatles connection, there's also another interesting one in rock circles. The chief songwriter of the band was a guy called George Alexander, who played guitar and bass in the various lineups. Now, his real name was Alexander Young, and he was sadly no longer with us, but he was the elder brother of George, Malcolm and Angus Young. George Young, of course, was guitarist with the Easy Beats, and then Malcolm and Angus, of course, were in AC/DC. George became their producer. Um, Alexander Young didn't go to Australia with the other three. He decided to stay in Britain and formed Grapefruit. And I think he still continued after Grapefruit had split up, doing various projects. Sadly, he passed away a few years ago. But Grapefruit left some great music behind, and if you see this or the other album of theirs, then do pick it up. And obviously any singles as well, they're worth getting a hold of. But it's a band that should have been more successful, but such is the nature of the record buying public and the industry. Sadly, they didn't. But there we are. Right, last one to show you is from another musician that sadly we lost recently, end of last year. A fantastic guitarist. I think he qualifies as legendary status because of his involvement in the music scene from the late 60s onwards, really. And I am referring to Mick Abrahams, and this is his own band, just called Mick Abrahams Band. It's sometimes referred to, I think, as a musical evening with Mick Abrahams. It came out in 1971 on Chrysalis. For those of you who don't know, Mick Abrahams was the original guitarist with Jethro Tull. He left after the first album, This Was, and formed Blodwyn Pig, who released a couple of albums. Then that kind of all finished, and he formed his own band, the Mick Abrahams Band. They also issued 2 albums. This is the first one. It came out in 1971. Got a nice gatefold there. And the other thing about this one, I don't know if you can see it, it's there. He signed it, and I still got this for a really good price. It's great to have that on there. This sleeve itself has not got any creases or folds or tears in it at all. It looks, my first thought was it must be a reissue, but you can see it's an original on Chrysalis, and what proves it is when you see the little island eye there, when Chrysalis was still being distributed through Island Records before it got its own independence. So this is a genuine original, and it is absolutely in spotless condition. The music on here, it's kind of heavy guitar driven blues rock, I would suppose you'd call it. The sort of thing that Mick Abrahams did best. We have side 1, Greyhound Bus, Awake, Winds of Change, and Why Do You Do Me This Way. Side 2, Big Queen, Not to Rearrange, and Seasons. And the lineup here is a 4-piece. So Mick Abrahams on all the guitars, Richie Dahmer drums, Bob Sargent organ, piano and vocal, Walt Monahan bass and singing. The second Mick Abrahams Band album had the addition, same lineup, but then the addition of Jack Lancaster from Blodwyn Pig on saxophones and flute. But this is a really good album. It's a great blues rock album, and the track Seasons in particular is a great one. Nice. It's quite a long track on side 2. Great arrangement to it. Why Do You Do Me This Way, a great blues number. And some fantastic guitar playing, as you would expect from Mick Abrahams, who sadly passed in December of 2025. But this is a really good one to have if you've not got it already. If you're a fan of Mick Abrahams, Blodwyn Pig, early Jethro Tull, then do try and find this one. There we are, that's it. So 6 albums that I picked up at the Bristol Record Fair. If you haven't done so already, please click the like button and subscribe, and of course leave me any comments on those records or any of the artists concerned. Thanks very much for watching again, and hope to speak to you again soon. Until then, take care and bye for now.